Greetings and salutations. Welcome to Off the Shelf Reviews.
I love hot dogs. Armour hot dogs. The dogs kids love to buy.
And I'm Gary. And today we're going to review and discuss Demolition Man, which came out in 1993 from director Marco Brambillai. Ian, why don't you give us the synopsis for Demolition Man?
Well, the story follows John Spartan, played by Sylvester Stallone, who's a Los Angeles police officer trying to bring down the crazy Simon Phoenix, played by Wesley Snipes. Phoenix has framed Spartan for the murder of some hostages, and the two of them have been the first test subjects for the new cryo-penitentiary prison. They have been frozen until 2032 when they are released for their parole, but Simon Phoenix escapes out into the new city of San Angeles, which is a utopian society. The police officers are ill-equipped to bring down this crazy madman, and so decide to thaw out John Spartan so he can destroy Simon Phoenix for good.
I love the introduction to this film. I love the date, Los Angeles 1996, a very Blade Runner-esque opening as the city is literally on fire. And this entire extended introduction sequence is kind of an afterthought as well. The original script sort of had the film starting in the future with Sylvester Stallone's John Spartan being thawed out of the ice already.
Right.
Whereas one of the scriptwriters decided that it'd be a good idea to actually establish these characters before they went into the ice so that you could get an understanding of who they are. And as a narrative device, it kind of works really well because this introduction is incredibly bombastic and everything great about 90s action films in this opening 5 minutes.
Yeah.
Send a maniac to catch one.
It's interesting that, again, this film went through an incredibly troubled production shoot where Warner Brothers had a lot of issues with the amount of writers and producers that they had. And throughout shooting the film, the script was being redrafted, new producers and writers were being brought in all of the time, and it wasn't really until Joel Silver was brought in that he actually paid off all of the other writers and producers and literally told them to do one so he could take control over this film and actually get something made. Our introduction to Sylvester Stallone wearing that beret, of course, something we wouldn't see him wear again until maybe the Expendables films, where he would actually be reunited with Wesley Snipes, is just great. Him just sort of bungee roping down into that combat zone, one-man army. This is just sort of Rambo for the 21st century.
Yeah. I remember the first time I watched this film, like I said, you see that helicopter come over the city, the whole place is on fire, and I'm like, oh my God, it's 1996. We're not very far away, what's going to happen? And then, it's send a maniac to catch a maniac. I love that little one line, and he just, fucking Stallone just jumps out and just starts blasting people. And I remember at the same time, Cliffhanger had just come out as well. And, back then, you could kind of say that we were kind of getting a bit saturated with action hero movies, like I said, Demolition Man, Cliffhanger, soon we would have Judge Dredd and Daylight from Stallone, and you'd have other films from Jean-Claude Van Damme and Schwarzenegger.
It was really the height of man films.
Yeah, you had
action-centric films.
You had to be in the mood to watch this film. If you were just like, oh, I'm just going to watch Demolition Man, you wouldn't get it because it's called Demolition Man. He is going to blow a lot of shit up. And that opening sequence with him going in, I mean, I'll get to him and Simon Phoenix meeting up, but just that big fuck off explosion at the end is well worth the $5 you'd pay for the film.
It's one hell of an explosion. Of course, you kind of have to wonder how the two of them got the hell out of there.
Oh, it's the slow-mo running.
The slow-mo running shields you from the blast.
Stallone is the magician behind the slow-mo running. You know, if he runs really slow, going, "Arr!" nothing can harm him.
I like the fact that the chief there is obviously the chief from the Lethal Weapon movies.
Yeah.
He gives him a hard time before he eventually arrests him for not being able to save these hostages.
Obviously, you've got Simon Phoenix. Wow. I like Wesley Snipes. There's a lot of films that I can sit up there and say, I like him in that.
Obviously, most well known for the Blade trilogy, really.
Yeah, and I really enjoyed him in New Jack City, Passenger 57. But his blonde hair, his strangely coloured eyes, the crazy trousers he's wearing, just that first meeting between him and Stallone, and he's like, "Set your ass on fire," and I'm like, yeah.
This guy is a joker. He's a lunatic. He is pure chaos, and he's damn funny in this film.
Fuck you! Passengers are gone. See, I told the city, I said, look, nobody comes down here. Postmen figured it out. Policemen figured it out. But the goddamn bus drivers just wouldn't listen.
Rewatching the film now, I was actually surprised at how comical this film is. And I'm like, this is more than just a stupid 90s action film.
Yeah.
This film is actually quite smart. It has a lot of satire in there, which kind of makes me think of RoboCop. And it has so many gags, so many jokes, so much dialogue that's just so playful. I never really would have pegged Sylvester Stallone as a comedian, but all of his timing in this is fantastic.
See, looking back on this film, like I said, at the time, people were getting kind of sick and tired of it. But now that I'm older, and if you look at the career that Stallone has made for himself, at the moment we're talking the Expendables trilogy, we're talking Rambo, we're talking Rocky Balboa. Back in the day, he wrote and directed Rocky. So to me, that cemented him as a well-established writer and a director and a fucking phenomenal actor. Putting him in other people's films, can get a bit cliched after a while. But that doesn't affect Stallone. Stallone, like you said, has just got brilliant timing. Like in that little opening sequence where he's being put in the cryostasis and the guy's just like, "I've got to read you this and tell you why you're being frozen." And Stallone's like, "Skip it." The guy's like, "John Spartan, blah, 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 you're going to be frozen." And John Spartan's like, "Skip it." I'm just like, he does not give a shit. He knows he's been framed and this is, his punishment. But when he unthaws, you're all in fucking trouble.
Well, we then cut to the future where we have self-driving cars. And a very attractive Sandra Bullock in one of her earliest, or perhaps, the most, the biggest budget film she'd appeared in to date. Of course, she delivers a great performance in this film. And I just think Sandra Bullock really captures the naivety and the innocence of someone who is in this future where they've been brought up on this totally PC environment, this controlling government which is limiting exactly what they can enjoy, what they can eat, what they can listen to.
Yeah.
And she really is looking for some action.
Oh, yeah.
Some excitement.
But that's because she studied the 20th century. And it makes me laugh because, she brings up these little things later on. She's like, "Oh, I learned to kick from Jackie Chan movies. I got most of my information about you, Spartan, from the Arnold Schwarzenegger presidential library." And at the time it was a joke, but then he'd go on to become
the governor of California, of course. I mean, Jackie Chan was actually originally approached to be the villain in this film, but he kind of turned it down because he didn't want to upset his home audience, because they would not be used to seeing him in a villainous role.
I gotta bring up now Bob Gunton as the police chief. Oh my god, seeing him stood there in his bald head, I'm like, I know you from somewhere. And then it dawned on me, it's Frank from Static.
The gunner.
The gunner. He's standing there going on about how everything should be all PC and peaceful and everything like that. And I'm like, wait, hold on, you were waiting for World War III a couple of years ago, weren't you?
We also have in a very early film role Rob Schneider. My God. And of course he would come back with Sylvester Stallone a few years later for the Judge Dredd movie.
I kind of like Rob Schneider.
I love this place. Where are you from again?
Norway?
Freak! I hear great things about it.
Holy shit, it's Bigfoot!
So how'd you end up here?
I had a pituitary gland procedure at UCLA Medical Center, and I just fell in love with the people here.
Hey, keep it in the circus!
You know, this place has gone way downhill. What do you say we go somewhere else?
That's a huge bitch!
So we cut to the cryo prison, and in one of the coolest sequences, like we said, we've just gotten over the opening sequence with Phoenix and Spartan, and now Phoenix is coming up to parole, and you've got the prison warden standing there, you know, listing all of his crimes. And I love the way that Wesley Snipes is repeating everything in Spanish or Mexican, and it really starts to annoy the warden, up until the point the warden's just like, have you got anything to say? And then he just shoots him that look and just says, teddy bear.
Do you have anything fresh to say on your behalf? I thought that.
Yeah, I do. Teddy bear.
And that's it. The locks are undone. He's killing fucking guards. He's killing the warden. And you realize what kind of society you're in. That the police officers, they don't even know what a 187 is.
That shot where they're all looking around like, what's a murder, death, kill? Like, we're not trained for this. That shock and that panic, that the realization that they actually have to do their job.
Yeah. I mean, they said that the last 187 they ever dealt with was in 2010, and obviously present day is 2032. So 22 years since the last murder is quite a long time. But I'm like, you don't forget the basics. That's the problem with utopian societies, is that they go, oh, we're living in peace now. Nothing's ever going to go wrong. Right, that's the reason why you should know this shit, because shit always goes wrong, especially if you've got a crazy nut job like Simon Phoenix on ice somewhere, because now he knows all the codes. He's been trained in all martial arts and demolitions and explosives and where all the guns are. And I remember the first time I watched it, and I, you know, keeping with it now, I always used to sit there going, something's up there. You know, it's way too easy that he knew the codes. He's got all this training, this strength enhancement. Somebody is using him.
Exactamundo.
It kind of makes me wonder as well, though, that if they've got the technology where they can sort of program people to be experts in whatever it is that they want to program into, a la The Matrix,
Yeah.
why don't they use this technology on everybody to make everybody super intelligent and super smart?
Because
Why do they use it only for those that are inmates in a prison as a part of their rehabilitation and correction programming? Why couldn't this technology be used elsewhere?
Well, because, and this brings me to the big bad, Raymond Cocteau. He is in charge of the society. He's in charge of everybody. He governs the laws. He has control of everything. And so these people that are on ice, he probably decides when they get released. Regardless of if they've been good or not. Not that they can do anything, they're fucking ice cubes. You know, but let's keep them on ice. Let's not get them to ruin any of our society. And obviously he's having trouble with Edgar Friendly, who runs the scraps that live underneath the city. Edgar Friendly would be played by the fucking amazing Dennis Leary. And, you know, it's the clash, isn't it? Dennis Leary wants freedom for everybody. Freedom and liberty to be able to do whatever you want. But there's a price. You know, when people do whatever they want, you end up with crime. So to abolish that, Raymond Cocteau doesn't want anybody to do what they want to do whenever. He wants them to do what he wants them to do. So to program them, you know, if he wants them released, yeah, they're going to be fucking vegetables. Obviously, spoilers for those of you who haven't seen Demolition Man, Raymond Cocteau has programmed Simon Phoenix to kill Edgar Friendly. He could have picked anybody less crazy
It doesn't make much sense either. I'm like, so this Raymond Cocteau, he's the High Chancellor or whatever. And he has unlimited control, and he decides, well, in order to kill this guy, I'm not going to train the police force to go down there because they're all pussyfooting around the situation. So I'm going to hire, one of the most deranged killers from history.
Yeah.
But he has no plan for what to do with him should he succeed and kill Edgar Friendly.
Well, I think his plan was just to kill Phoenix, because obviously Simon Phoenix can't... he's programmed Phoenix not to be able to kill Cocteau. So it would have just been very easy to be like, oh, you killed Edgar Friendly? Bang, you're dead. But he doesn't count on the fact that Phoenix not only fails a lot... but that he gives the police the chance to do everything in their power to stop Simon Phoenix, which of course allows them to unthaw John Spartan. And John Spartan, I think right from the start, he's just questioning everything. Why did Phoenix know all this? Why does he know all the locations of all the guns? Why is he super stronger than when he first went in? And why is it I can only knit a jumper?
I'm a seamstress? Oh, that's just great. I come out of cryo prison and I'm Betsy fucking Ross. If Phoenix comes out and he can access computers, operate all vehicles, knows the location of every damn thing in town, and is 3 times stronger than when he went in.
But what I like is that after he's thawed out, there's a lot of time given to comedy scenes.
Yeah.
Where he is literally being introduced to this new, brave, scientific, future where he is being punished for swearing.
Smoking is not good for you, and has been deemed that anything not good for you is bad, hence illegal. Alcohol, caffeine, contact sports, meat.
Are you shitting me?
John Spartan, you are fined 1 credit for a violation of the verbal morality statute.
What the hell is that?
John Spartan, you are fined 1 credit.
Bad language, chocolate, gasoline, uneducational toys, and anything spicy.
Where he's being told that he's a barbarish brute who is sort of redundant in this era.
Yeah.
What would you say if I called you a brutish fossil, symbolic of a decayed era, gratefully forgotten?
I don't know. Thanks.
And he also really needs to take a shit.
They used handfuls of wadded paper back in the 20s.
I'm happy that you're happy, but the place where you're supposed to have the toilet paper, you got this little shelf with 3 seashells on it.
He doesn't know how to use the 3 seashells.
The 3 seashells. Oh, the first time I watched this, I had to work out how those worked.
Okay, well, enlighten us, Iain. Tell us, how do you use the 3 seashells?
Well, for me, I would shit in one and then put the second shell on top, so obviously the smell wouldn't be that bad, and then use the last one to wipe whatever remnants. But the only thing...
Was there a severe paper shortage in the future?
Well, yes, because you use all the paper in those verbal morality machines. But the thing I could never understand was who replaced the 3 seashells? Because if one person went in there and did all that, did you then go and wash?
But what if you had a diarrhea shit?
Well, you wouldn't, because if obviously when you go to Taco Bell / Pizza Hut, you only eat those tiny little fucking things. How the hell are you going to get diarrhea from that? The only diarrhea you're going to get is if you go down to the sewers and eat a rat burger. But it was the only thing I took from this film. I mean, I really enjoyed the film, but at the end of the film when I was younger, I would sit there like, how do the 3 seashells work? Because right at the end of the film, Stallone leaves you with that line of how to work it out. So that's what I would do. I would sit there trying to diagram
ever since this film's release, everyone has been asking the actors from this film, how do the 3 seashells work? Still to this day, the actors are still being asked this question, which just goes to show the popularity and success of Demolition Man. And yes, there is no answer to how to use the 3 seashells. Literally, a couple of the writers that were working on the film were like, hey, we need an ingenious idea for toiletries of the future. Oh, look, I've got some seashells on my shelf. Oh, that'll do. Then it went into the script. And so it is just one of those, it's one of cinema's biggest jokes as to how we would wipe our arses in the future. And I can only say that the method that Sylvester Stallone was very similar to yours, where the first one would sort of be a scoop, where you'd use two at the same time to pinch and pull the turd out, and then use the last shell to wipe. And then, of course, I'd only imagine that you would then clean the shells. I'm like, are you going to wear gloves for this operation and then put the shells back for someone else to shove up their ass? I'm like, the more you think about this, the more disgusting it gets. But I have to say that when I first watched the film, my mind was a little bit more innocent, and I imagined that on the underside of the shells was an entire different sort of technological thing where, I don't know, where it was like a vacuum on one, and the other one had like a sprinkler system.
See, the weird thing is, I've still got that diarrhea image in my head, so I've just got an image of Stallone holding the seashell next to his ass and just going everywhere.
Thanks a lot, you shit.
You are fined. For repeated violations of the verbal morality statute.
So much for the seashells. See you in a few minutes.
But we got to get to some of the cool action sequences in this film. I mean, this is what we're fucking here for. The whole museum section is absolutely amazing. I love when Phoenix just walks in and just bashes that guy's head right off the glass for no reason, just the fact that the guy's there. The museum workers come in that, what's your boggle? And he just starts fucking flaying them left and right. Spartan turns up, there's a whole gun shootout, you know, he's got that AgMac gun. I mean, we want to work out how the three she-cells work. How the fuck does that gun work?
I don't know, but it doesn't actually do anything the entire film. I don't think he kills anybody with it.
No.
He just kind of blows shit up.
Yeah, he misses with it every time.
But it's a great sequence because for me, the two, we got, you know, usually the hero is the one quipping the one-liners.
Yeah.
But here, they're both throwing one-liners at each other. It's like a tennis match. It's like, who's going to win the one-liners?
Yeah.
So let me get this right. They defrosted you just so you could lasso my piddly ass? Damn, you been had. I've been dreaming about killing you for 40 years. Well, keep dreaming.
And it is a pretty straightforward gung-ho action sequence, but just elevated by these two characters.
You're dead, Spartan. Forgot to say Simon Says.
We got the whole sequences where they go into the underground, they get shot at by Phoenix and his gang of cronies, including Governor Jesse the Body Ventura as one of the convicts.
It's hard to recognize in the film. You probably wouldn't even notice it was him unless you were aware of that it was him in the credits.
Yeah, and like I said, when they meet Dennis Leary, and you could see that Dennis Leary, it's not like Dennis Leary is chaotic. He doesn't want society to burn. He just wants a little bit more freedom than what the people upstairs have got. I suppose the people upstairs are happy to be told exactly what to do every single day, as long as nobody gets 187'd.
Well, the thing is, in today's society, I can easily see people wanting to live in either or these two sort of environments.
I do like the little bit when they are in the sewers and Sandra Bullock, Lenina Huxley starts to realise that, you know, she's been told that the Scraps are violent and aggressive and butcherisk and barbaric, and then she's walking among them and they're more scared of them.
Yeah.
You know, and she's like, oh my God, you know, how have I been lied to this whole time? And it's just like, well, this is kind of what happens. You have to have that balance in society. You have to have the good and the bad, because if you take one away, you know, it kind of all screws up. But then you get that fucking mad car sequence. They come across this beautiful red car. Obviously, I don't know cars, but it looks really nice.
Lena Huxley will tell you all about it.
Huxley, do you know what this is?
A 1970 Oldsmobile 442 with a 455 cubic inch engine, radial tires, and bucket seats.
And then they smash up through the floor. They chase after Phoenix, and there's this whole mad car sequence as well, which just ultimately ends with John Spartan being covered in foam.
It's actually one of my greatest lines in the film when he goes flying through the air and he calls it Mickey Mouse bullshit. I'm like, I have continued to use that line ever since this film came out.
Rick! Rick! Right now, you Mickey Mouse biggest
There is one other interesting thing that always sparks my imagination with this film is that we are told that sort of LA or whatever it's now called it's now under sort of government control, but we don't really get to see whether this is universal, whether this is the same around the world, whether all war has ended and whether the entire planet now exists like this. And one interesting thing that's brought up is that there was a franchise war between the fast food chains. And I don't really know how that went, but lo and behold, Pizza Hut is now the dominant and only existing fast food brand in existence.
I can't believe they fucking did this. I got the VHS copy of this film when I was younger, and it's always been Taco Bell.
My reward is dinner and dancing at Taco Bell. I mean, hey, I like Mexican food, but come on.
Your tone is quasi-facetious, but you do not realize that Taco Bell was the only restaurant to survive the franchise wars.
So?
So? Now all restaurants are Taco Bell.
No way.
Taco Bell, all the way.
What's a Taco Bell?
It's like a restaurant, like a Mexican restaurant. And yet, because the producers or Warner Brothers or somebody went, the rest of the world won't know what a Taco Bell is, but they've got Pizza Hut.
I know what that is.
We're going to rebrand everything in this film Pizza Hut.
Dinner and dancing at Pizza Hut? I mean, hey, I like a big fat piece of pizza, but come on.
Your tone is quasi-facetious, but you do not realize that Pizza Hut was the only restaurant to survive the franchise wars.
So?
So? Now all restaurants are Pizza Hut.
No way.
So we get shoddily placed placards over the Taco Bell signs and voice dubbed Pizza Hut over the Taco fucking Bell.
It is the worst. I mean, if they at least got the actors to dub over themselves, could they have not just filmed it twice? I don't know. It looks so awkward because they say Taco Bell a lot in this film, and so dubbing it over Pizza Hut the entire time just makes it look so stupid.
Your protection of the sanctity of human life, namely my own, I would like to invite you to join me to dinner tonight. The both of you. Please, I insist. I would like you to accompany me to Pizza Hut.
It really does, but of course the explanation was that in Australia, Taco Bell, I think, was being sued over a name issue, so they pulled out all of their Taco Bells out of Australia and were done with it. And so at that point they were like, okay, well, if we're going to sell this film to other countries, we'll call it Pizza Hut instead. And I just think it's crazy. I think both Pizza Hut and Taco Bell are now owned by the same company anyway.
It's like they're so shoddily done. When Huxley and Spartan go to the restaurant, they pull up and there's a big fucking Pizza Hut sign outside. And it's like, well, I know it's blatantly a Taco Bell. It's always been Taco Bell. They walk in through the entrance and on the window you can see a gold bell with Taco Bell written under it. And I'm like, so whoever fucking copied over all the Taco Bells missed that sequence. You suck. Go, you're fired. Get out of here.
But there's a couple of places where you can see where it's been superimposed on top, and it sort of shakes.
It shakes.
Like, not at the same time as the object that it's on. It looks superimposed and awful, actually.
You're gonna regret this the rest of your life. Both seconds of it.
As I said earlier, Warner Brothers had a lot of issues with the film. They had problems with the pacing and with the editing and with some of the story aspects. And whilst they're down in the sewers, there was an entire deleted sequence where he would meet his daughter and find out what exactly life has been like since he was put in the freezer.
Yeah.
Of course, there is a sequence in the film where he he's curious about what happened to his life.
Yeah,
and
yeah.
Nina's like, oh, I'll look it up for you. And he's like, no, it's best in the past and forgotten now. I think the actress is still in the film, and there's a couple of sequences, especially right at the end of the film, where she stood around Edgar Friendly,
Yeah.
and I believe that there was actually meant to be John Spartan's daughter. But of course, Warner Brothers cut all of this out, and a lot of it wasn't filmed as the script was still being written as they were going.
Stupid.
I mean, it's funny that you bring up about the script. I found out that this film is actually a massive rip-off of a Hungarian sci-fi writer. He wrote a story back in 1987 about a terrorist and a counter-terrorist who were frozen and then thawed out in the future in a utopian society. And yet he wanted to actually take the film company to court, but he didn't have enough money to hire a lawyer and try and take on Hollywood. But he knows who sold his and many other European writers' ideas to Hollywood so that they can make their films. And I'm just like, Warner Brothers, you bastards.
So what, it needs batteries? What size? I mean, where the fuck do you find batteries in the future? Was there a battery store around, motherfucker?
Excuse me, museum patron. Can I...
I've got a lot of favourite scenes in this film, which should come as no surprise. This film is guilty pleasure, if not just one of your favourite 90s action movies. And if you're a fan of Stallone, you just know Demolition Man.
Yeah.
So the whole film is a favourite scene. But in particular, I guess I love all of the scenes with Sandra Bullock and Sylvester Stallone. I think the interplay between them both is great. Sylvester Stallone actually said that he didn't play John Spartan. He played himself.
Yeah.
Because he pretty much plays an everyday Joe in a world which sort of rejects him, that he doesn't understand.
Yeah.
So it's pretty easy to just ask questions and then show a shocked face at whatever it is that's going on. And of course, Sandra Bullock sort of getting all of these one-liners wrong.
Yeah.
She's seen all of these action movies from the 90s, yet she keeps getting these lines wrong, and he has to keep correcting her. Just this running gag throughout the film. I just think it's very, very funny.
Let's go blow this guy.
Away. Blow this guy away.
Whatever.
There is one thing that did catch me off guard rewatching the film, and that was when I realised how much of a comedy this film is when they added in cartoon sound effects. There's a point when Simon Phoenix sort of escapes and he jumps onto the roof of a car.
Yeah.
Smashes the glass and he throws the guy out, and it's complete with a whoop sound effect as he goes flying through the air. And I'm like, why add these cartoon sound effects into this film? But you know, it kind of helps elevate the action. It kind of makes it seem more exciting and at the same time more comical as well.
Yeah.
Hey, wait for me!
My absolute most favourite scene, though, I guess, would be the fact that all of these other guys have been thawed out and they're all born killers ready to tear the town apart.
Yeah.
And Wesley Snipes is in the background, Simon Phoenix, and he keeps pulling a gun out and he's trying to kill Cockatoo. And he can't kill him. He's like, can't pull the trigger.
No.
And Cockatoo's like, yep, so you'll go and kill Edgar Friendly for me. You'll do as I say. And Simon Phoenix just chucks the gun to Jesse Ventura and goes, kill him for me. And he just straight away just pulls the trigger and then picks up his corpse and throws it in the fire, and his legs sort of sticking out at a funny angle. I'm just like, that's it?
Yeah.
That's all it took.
I love Nigel Hawthorne. I think he's a brilliant British actor, but at the same time, what the fuck was he thinking when Cocteau was just like, oh yeah, we'll just release all those prisoners. Yeah, I won't program them not to kill me. That won't ever happen.
Exactly. I'm like, this guy is an idiot. He's supposed to be so smart, and yet he keeps making these really stupid decisions. But then, if he didn't, we wouldn't have the film.
Yes.
I also thought it was interesting as well in the notes that he was not a fan of Sylvester Stallone or Wesley Snipes and didn't get on with either of the actors on the set of the film. And I can sort of imagine that, you know, sort of very different acting styles that might have clashed on set. I guess my most memorable sequence in the film is going to be the sex scene. Because You know,
what sex scene?
Exactly. In a 90s action film, you know, it's pretty customary that around the middle point of the film, you're going to have your obligatory sex scene and slight bit of nudity. So we're now in the future. So now we're going to see future sex.
Ugh.
And I love the awkwardness of when she proposes sex to John Spartan. And he's just like, well, yeah, all right.
All right.
Let's do this. And she comes back with these little metallic helmets. And they put them on and they start having these flashes.
Oh, God.
And I'm just like, so are they mentally projecting to each other?
Yeah.
Is this thing just stimulating your own brain? How does this thing work? And why?
It gets really confusing for me because every time he closes his eyes, you get those flashes of Sandra Bullock in the really weird colours. But then it'll cut back to him, and then it'll cut back to her, and then you start getting flashes and zooms in of Sylvester Stallone's face. And there's nothing more off-putting than Sylvester Stallone making the ooh face that somebody's sucking him off.
Not even mouth transfer is condoned.
Kissing's not allowed? Oh. Damn, I was a good kisser.
My favourite scenes, I love Simon Phoenix and Spartan's opening. I think it just sets the film up all the way through. I love the Phoenix escape. You know, the word teddy bear and the fact he just beats and kills and maims everybody on the way. I love it when Phoenix is obviously looking for a gun and all the cops turn up to try and apprehend him and he fucking lays waste to them all and then blows up the car. I love it when John Spartan comes out the toilet and he doesn't know how to work the free seashells, but then he realizes that if he keeps swearing at the swear machine, it will just give him loads and loads of paper and he's just going to go use the paper to wipe his own ass. I love Phoenix at the armory and the whole museum sequence. It's just absolutely brilliant. And the big chase sequence fight and end at the crowd prison. It's just, it starts off really big. It ends really big and you're just like, yeah.
Well, I just want to say it doesn't really end really big because I realised this watching it just recently that the beginning of the film, that explosion, which sets everything off, is huge.
Yeah,
it's fantastic.
Yeah.
Yet the explosion at the end of the film, the final explosion, is like a little whimper. And not only that, it looks like a really poor CGI explosion.
It's always
with
been
some CGI
a
fire afterwards. And I'm just like, why not have the entire building explode like he did at the beginning? If he's Demolition Man, come on, skimp out. And as one last thing that I do want to bring up about the film is the music score. It's not instantly memorable, but the music does a great job of bringing the action to the forefront when it needs to, and the sort of the science fiction sort of elements to the soundtrack as well.
Yeah.
And the music was composed by Alien 3's composer, Elliot Goldenthal, who did Alien 3, which is just one of the most memorable pieces of music in film for me.
Yeah.
He didn't necessarily do a lot of film music, but the work that he did on Demolition Man, it definitely is just the final perfect touch to this film. And it is a classic film. I highly recommend Demolition Man. If you've never seen it, if you've dismissed it as just another Sylvester Stallone stupid action movie, I mean, it came out the same year as Last Action Hero.
Yeah.
But I think it's safe to attest that this film, although it might not have been critically successful, people that watched the film fucking loved it and still do to this day. It is still insanely quotable. And the action sequences are great. The music is great. The acting is brilliant. This film still stands the test of time.
For me, yeah. It's a Stallone classic. If you, like Gary said, if you're a fan of Stallone movies, you've already got this film. You watch this a lot. I watched this, and then I really wanted to go and watch Cliffhanger. I wanted to go watch Daylight. I did want to go watch Judge Dredd again. I wanted to do a whole fucking Stallone month of just movies, just from watching Demolition Man and having so much fun. Wesley Snipes is absolutely brilliant. Stallone is fucking brilliant. Sandra Bullock is fine in this movie. Rob Schneider, he still makes me laugh. You know, Bob Gunton, he makes me laugh. Nigel Hawthorne, he's really good. I even like Associate Bob Associate Bob, Dennis Leary, the whole shebang of this film is just absolutely brilliant. It's a classic. Highly, highly recommended.
Fucking A.
Well put.
Thanks for watching Off the Shelf Reviews. Be well.
Jackson, the train's fast coming. Shot to the wing with the engine running. You say that this wasn't in your plan. Don't mess around.
See you, sweetie. Honey, sugar.